Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're here today with our second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, answering our community's questions each and every weekend. Hopefully, you tuned into yesterday's show. That was episode 1793. We answered these questions on yesterday's show. We spoke about doing the CBO protocol and the diet that goes along with it for yeast and bacterial overgrowth. We spoke about as well thyroid and Hashimoto's, so specifically what to do for those issues. We spoke about what else? Well, we talked about making smoothies and breakfast in the morning and how time is sometimes not on your side and what to do if you're not able to make a smoothie in the morning in terms of having a blender. That's my Boston accent right there, blender, but it could be called the blender as well. And let's see what else. What else do we talk about? We talked about COMT. We talked about childhood trauma. We talked about the Myers-Briggs personality test and what my personality type is called. We also spoke about B12 versus the other B vitamins and which ones are most important for what. So you can check out that show just by going to stephencabral.com/1793. And if you want to read along with today's questions, you can go to stephencabral.com/1794. That is today's show. You can read the questions as we're going through. And of course, for all previous 1,793 podcasts, you can go to stephencabral.com/podcasts for all the details and use that little search box as needed. All right. First question today is from Ryan. Ryan's asking, I was hoping you could shed some light on viruses and antibodies. I guess this kind of gets into the germ versus terrain theory. And are viruses really the bad guys they are made out to be? How does one reconcile that a child at just 7 days old has been shown to have something near 100 million viruses in its stool, but does not have the ability to produce antibodies yet, and yet it will be completely fine? It's a great question. So, Ryan, thank you for writing in. Now, we have to understand is when we look at certain viruses and we look at certain bacteria and we look at certain parasites, they're not all bad for the body. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but not me, but research is actually looking at specific parasites to be used for autoimmune issues like rheumatoid arthritis. They're actually giving people specific parasites because what happens is this, it quiets one part of the immune system. Very interesting. Again, would I go about rebalancing the body that way? 100% no, but interesting to look at it, right? And then in terms of viruses, same thing. Our body is meant to be exposed to viruses. This is why, so for example, am I saying that everyone should go out there and get the current virus that's going around in the environment? I am not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But we have to understand it is a getting struck by lightning type of occurrence if you end up dying from this particular virus with no other comorbidities. I want to state that again. You have a better chance, really, certainly a better chance of being in a car accident and dying than you are from this particular virus if you have no other comorbidities. Now, am I saying that this is a good virus? No, I'm not. Am I saying that it's not affecting a lot of people? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is that it is affecting people at a disproportionate rate, okay? Way worse for the flu, way worse than that, because the flu is actually worse for younger people, right? This virus is really a troublesome thing for especially people in nursing homes, people over the age of 65, certainly over the age of 75, where the average mortality rate is still between 78 and 80 years old, and comorbidities such as high cholesterol or metabolic syndrome with high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. There's no doubt about that, okay? And it is not good. Now, again, if you listen to Friday's podcast, there might be hope for many, many of those people as well, even though there's less than a 0.04% chance of dying from this particular virus. Again, it doesn't mean that it's not serious. When I say that, it's to give you hope. It's not to say that it's not serious. I certainly, wouldn't want anyone that I know to get it. I just know that viruses move through our bodies. And that is why I keep saying over and over, we have to take our health seriously. It has to be our highest priority. Now, again, sometimes things are out of your control or you didn't know and you're sick. Well, we need to get those people better. Like, that's it. We need to get those people better. And I don't want to turn this into a virus-based podcast, but a strong body, it is about the terrain. Okay, it is about the terrain. The terrain, and I don't want to get into Bernard and Beauchamp and all these, Pasteur, all the different theories out there. I've talked about those actually in previous shows. But here's the thing. If your body is strong enough, it will fight it off. That's what it comes down to. Now, again, there are always things that we don't understand in microscopic percentages of people, right? There's no doubt about that. Pre-existing conditions that we didn't know about, et cetera. But anyway, what about children as well? Because you asked me a question about a 7-year-old child. Well, a 7-year-old child, a 7-day-old child, baby, newborn, really up to the first 2 years of age, is expected by nature to get its antibodies from its mother. That's the truth. So a newborn drinks its mother's milk, and its mother's milk contains antibodies. Now, this will really be a trip for you. The mother actually produces the antibodies based on what the child needs. How wild is that? So there's some communication, nonverbal, going on between the baby and the mother for even the nutrients that it needs or the antibodies. And it's absolutely unbelievable. So again, that was a little ranty, but again, it's only because I'm trying to help people, and we're living in fear instead of trying to empower ourselves and others to be well and get healthy. This is not the first virus to hit us, and it's not going to be the last. It's not. All right, Stella's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for showing up every weekend. I've been doing a significant amount of research on phytoestrogens, and I'm quite confused because I've heard you talk in the past how these increase estrogen levels. However, even though there is research on that, there's also research on phytoestrogens actually also being anti-estrogenic. So it looks like phytoestrogens have been shown to be both estrogenic and anti-estrogenic effects. Which one is it? Stella, great question, and I'm happy to answer that for you. I would love you to also go to stevencabral.com/courses, okay? Click on the female hormones. Watch the masterclass or sign up for the Health Results Accelerator. It will teach you everything you need to know about estrogen, like in female hormones. So here's the thing. The answer is basically both, and that's why it's confusing. Let's take soy, for example. So inside of the Female Hormones Health Results Accelerator, where I help people and help women rebalance their estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, their androgens, et cetera. Here's the interesting thing. Let's just take one of the high estrogenic foods would be soy, right? So soy is the highest estrogenic food out there. So we take that, and it is high in isoflavones and phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens, right? So here's the interesting thing. It increases estrogen in the body from the phytoestrogens. But the phytoestrogens then link up and connect to those estrogen receptors. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because the isoflavones, the phytoestrogens, are not as powerful as a woman's own natural estrogen production or environmental estrogens such as xenoestrogens. And I do hope that you've listened to the podcast on xenoestrogens. And I also have a podcast that just came out, I believe, on Wednesday on how to detoxify those xenoestrogens or xenoestrogens from the environment, those foreign estrogens. So here's the interesting thing. If we take in, not too much, but we take in some of those things, they could bind up and block those receptors from more virulent and stronger estrogen from being able to penetrate. Now, the issue is it can still cause estrogenic symptoms in women with estrogen dominance. And men, it can cause gynecomastia. It happens. So some people are susceptible, some aren't. So who benefits the most from these phytoestrogens? It is women who are in menopause or past menopause and looking to raise natural estrogen levels, okay? Don't need to go overboard, don't want to go overboard, and also check to see if you're sensitive. So Stella, hopefully that answered your question. Chelsea's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I was wondering what labs you would run on a newborn just to make sure everything looks good and the baby is healthy. My son is now 2.5 years old and just developed some eczema or maybe possible food allergy. I would like to get to the root cause of this. What labs do you recommend? As always, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. Chelsea, thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so actually this just jogged my memory. And if you want to see if your estrogen levels are too high compared to your progesterone, this was for Stella, run the stress hormones mood and metabolism test. Hands down, the best lab in the world on that. That's going to give you estrogen, progesterone, the ratio, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol times 4 over the day, T4, T3, TSH, TPO, insulin, and hemoglobin A1C. Great test. Okay, Chelsea, you would typically run the food sensitivity test over at Equa. All the labs are at equa.life. That's equi.life, and all of them come with a health coaching consultation. But since your child's only 2.5 months old, we really don't necessarily recommend food sensitivity testing at that time because they're really relying, again, like I said, on their mom's antibodies. So it might be better for the mom to actually test her food sensitivities because she could be passing on some of that to her child as well if she is nursing, right? If she's not nursing, well, then that's not going to be possible. So, but what do I recommend? Well, I recommend removing then from your diet, because I'm assuming your child at 2.5 years old is not eating, but maybe they're doing a formula. So if they are, I recommend removing the cow's milk, removing the gluten, and removing the eggs for right now. Those are the big 3 that I typically see under the age of 1 or so with children with, or newborns and children, babies with eczema. Okay, so you can do any of those, whatever works for you. You can do the free recommendation. You could remove those from your diet as well. But Chelsea, I would really recommend running your lab to see your sensitivities, and then with your child, removing at least the big 3 right there, which is cow's milk, gluten, and eggs. And if you needed to do a dairy, then you can always do goats if you need it. But again, you need to create your own formula. I've done that at a previous podcast. I talked about that. You could look up, a Weston Price-based formula. There's also other formulas out there that just use goat's milk and can give you all the nutrients that your baby needs, okay? Because I don't want to provide medical advice, which I'm not providing medical advice. Remember, no diagnosis, no treatments, no cures, nothing like that on this podcast. All right, Carla's up next. How would you recommend washing salads in South America if tap water is not an option? Is it better to wash it? I'm not sure how to wash salads or veggies with something that is not running water. Carla, great question. We've got a lot of these that tie in together because this one would basically be on parasites, right? So like you can get bacteria or parasites or H. pylori, which is a bacteria, from untreated water. So I'll tell you what I did. So when I was in India and Sri Lanka, you can't drink the water. You really can't, not where I was. So what we rely on is boiled water. And boiled water will kill the parasites and the bugs. It won't remove the heavy metals, but that wasn't really like a big, I wasn't worried about that. I knew I could do a heavy metal detox when I got home. So what I did was I only used bottled water, and we used boiled water, cooled, of course, you want to cool it, that you could then scrub your veggies with. And I don't eat any salads. As a general rule, I do not eat salad when I'm traveling to a place such as Mexico. I love Mexico, by the way. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I don't eat salad in Mexico just because it's washed with regular tap water. And with veggies, very plain and simple, you could wash those with cooled boiled water. You could just put it in a bowl to make it better, meaning like you want to conserve your water, right? So what my wife does, like when we get our veggies, even if they're organic, we've got a big bowl. Let's say it holds a gallon of water, okay? We just use our Berkey water filter water and then add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to it. And plain and simple, you can put your veggies in there, you can let them soak, and you can just scrub them with a scrub brush. So you can do the same thing. So you can just clean all your veggies for the week in one bowl of boiled water, again, that's cooled with a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and there you go. So Carla, hopefully that was helpful. All right. If you really wanted to, you could add a little bit of iodine to that water. But again, the water's already been boiled, but you could. And you could also add chlorine tabs if you needed to, but I don't recommend chlorine because it can kill some of the bacteria in your gut, but you could always let it evaporate if you wanted to. So there's multiple ways. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, Anonymous is up next. Is there a specific reason why someone might experience diarrhea and upset stomach when taking digestive enzymes? Certainly, it's rare, but it does happen. Like, let's say, well, it's not even like 1 in 500 people that I know, but it does happen. I mean, I've been doing this a while, and I know that it happens for sure. So if they experience diarrhea when taking digestive enzymes, I recommend saying, okay, don't take them at breakfast where their stomach might just be the most queasy. I recommend taking them not before the meal, but I recommend taking them mid-meal for anybody that has loose stool with taking them. And also, you just might want to use 1 instead of 2. Like, it could just be dosage. It really could. Like, for anybody, you'll eventually meet your dosage. So let's say you took 6 digestive enzymes. You'd probably have loose stool. Right? And for some people, it might happen at 3. Some it might happen at 2. Most people, it doesn't happen at 1. So what I would do is I would take it mid-meal and just start at 1. That's a good way to do it. And then, of course, you could simply just try a different brand because there might be something in there that just doesn't agree with you. All right. Laura's up next. Might be the same Laura. Wait. Do we have a Laura? I answered Laura's question. Yes, I answered Laura's question yesterday as well. Okay. Let's see. This one from Laura says, hi, Dr. Cabral. I've recently learned of air candles, and I'm wondering what your opinion on them is. And also, if you would recommend using them, how often? Thank you so much for being our go-to person for everything health-related. Means so much. Have a lovely day, everyone, and happy healing. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate you. I've done air candling myself once. I have not seen a lot of clinical benefit behind it. I think that there's more downside risks than positives with burning the air candle, basically. I've done a show on this before. So let me just go again. I'm going to go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and I'm going to use the search box, and I'm going to look up air candle, and I'm going to see if I can find it there. All right. I answered it on episode 1044. All right. So what I'm going to do is just revert you back, Laura, to episode 1044. stephencabral.com/1044, and you'll get a bigger answer there. But I don't think anybody needs to do air candling at all. I think that there's much better things to do, whether it be the Nutribiotic GSE drops, whether it be a little 1 or 2 drops of hydrogen peroxide in the air, anything like that. I just think that there are better ways to do it, but I'm also not radically against it. Like I'm not against it at all, actually, if it's done safely. I'm really not. Do I think that there's a lot of efficacy behind it? Maybe there is. I just haven't read about it. I just haven't seen it. And I've just never had a use for it either. So I tried it once myself. Hey, some people think it's great. And so as long as you do it safely, I have no problem with that. All right. Priya is up next. And it says Priya. Please, I want to eat cupcakes. Can we have desserts on our cheat meals for the CBO 3-month plan? All right. You wrote in November 21st, and your answer is coming to you on January 3rd. So again, it's about 6-week delay. If you want that answer the same day, go to CabralSupportGroup.com. 10,000 plus members from around the world who just want to be there to support each other, answer questions. And the answer is yes. If you want to eat cupcakes, far be it from me to hold you back from those cupcakes. So once a week, when you have your cheat meal on the CBO protocol, have a cupcake, enjoy it, smile, breathe between bites, chew it to a paste. Taste every single morsel so that you enjoy it. Don't inhale it, but enjoy it. If that's what you enjoy, smile. Feel good about it. Don't feel guilty. Enjoy the cupcake. Enjoy it. You'll digest it better. It will affect you less. And yes, after 21 days, you can enjoy a cheat meal once a week on the CBO, whether it be alcohol or pasta or dessert, whatever it is. It's not a deprivation plan. We're here to help you. And we know that if you're eating 3 meals a day, and you do that 7 days a week, that's 21 times you're eating. And if one of those is off, it's okay. you're going to be just fine and you're still going to get the results. All right. Great questions. Let me see if that was my 6 for today. Ryan and Stella and Chelsea, Carla, Anonymous, Laura, and Priya. All right. We actually did an extra one. So, love the questions. Really do appreciate all of your support. If you have not left a review yet for the podcast, I would love you to do that over on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play, any of your MP3 players. It'll take just a second and it helps me to spread my mission. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have an amazing day. And I will talk with you tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday to start the week. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.